So I think it all started when I was 18 years old because I had to pick something that I wanted to do.
You're forced.
And when I started with 100 days of code, I was completely beginner, but I still did it. So I encourage them that even as beginners, they should do it. And they should. Sometimes I feel that if X stop existing or if Instagram stop existing, like what's going to happen? One thing is the engagement, which was a really nice thing, but the other thing was that at that point of my life, I really wanted to learn how to code. So by checking what other people were coding on social media, it gave me also more ideas on what I could code or how could I. No, I had no idea back then that it would turn out like this. But now I'm really thankful that I did it. And I suggest all the time to people that they should.
Hey there, busy programmers. Thanks for tuning into the Busy Programmer series where we dive into the stories, insights, and beyond code challenges of some of the most inspiring people in tech. Before we jump into today's conversation, I would like to ask a quick favor. Statistics show that over half of people who watch this kind of interviews don't subscribe to the channels. So if you enjoy what you are seeing or hearing here and want to keep up with more real, relatable content about life in tech, hit that subscribe or follow button. It's easy and it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us grow this community, bring on more of the guests we are excited to feature, and keep adding real value for you. Don't be a stranger in read mode only as well. Drop your comments, leave questions for me and my guests, and suggest anyone you would love to see on the show. Together we can shape this channel into a space that truly reflects what matters most to all of us busy programmers. All right, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy today's episode. Hello, here in the next interview in the Busy Programmer series, where my guest today is Eleftheria Batsou. Hi, Eleftheria. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, it took us a while to get it settled. I was messaging you when I started the idea because I wouldn't hide that we know each other from the past. We've met. I can't even remember what year it was, but it was a long time, 2018 or
Yes, something like that.
It was in Netherlands, if I do remember correctly, for the first time when you were doing the talk there, right?
Yes, was it in the Netherlands or in Denmark?
There were two events this year, for sure. One of those. But yeah, for everyone else who might not know you still, can you just introduce yourself for our audience? Where are you from? What are you doing in IT and beyond IT? So yeah,
Yes.
tell us more about yourself.
I'm Eleftheria. I'm coming from Greece. My whole life I've been living in Greece. I like it here because I get this question a lot if you like it. So yes, I love living here. And currently I'm working as a community manager. But before that, I was working as a front-end developer, mainly with JavaScript and a little bit of Angular. But then I slowly transitioned to community manager. And I think we will talk about this later, but for the folks that don't know it, it's something like a developer advocate, but a little bit more niche to the community side.
Definitely. I have a lot of questions about it, as I mentioned to you off the record as well. You're probably one of the first, if not the first person who I followed and I knew who started the role and the career inside of the DevRel community related activities. And it was like, I do remember then it was something very new for us all and probably for you as well. But
Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there. You've mentioned front end and if I do recall also as well, it was like design UX. That was something what you were passionate about.
Yes.
So can you tell us more? What was your beginning? How generally the IT and programming, creating
Sure.
things through the internet started for you when it was?
So I think it all started when I was 18 years old because I had to pick something that I wanted to do.
You're forced.
And yeah, I had a general idea of the things that I liked, which was not exactly programming and coding. I liked maths, I liked physics, I did like a little bit of engineering, but I didn't know exactly what engineering was. So I went here in Greece in a university and I studied engineering in the end. But the engineering has everything: has maths, has physics, has computer science, has networks, and all this kind of stuff. And the more time I spend inside the university and studying, I realized that I actually like coding, and more specifically, I liked front-end stuff. I did 2 internships, one in Greece and one in the Netherlands. And when I was doing those internships, I really, really realized that I have a passion for coding, for front end stuff again, and a little bit of design, UX, and UI. So I did that for a while. I got my first job here in Greece. I was working as a front end developer. But again, the more I was working, I realized that I like UX and UI a little bit more. And I decided to do a master's and to learn more about these two things, UX and UI. And as I was doing that master's, I also realized that I like UX a little bit more. So UX is user experience. I like to understand how things are going and how processes are going. So maybe we have a website and maybe we have a design, but it's not only the design, is why we picked those elements in that design, and how can we make the website more user friendly, more satisfactory for the user, how we can provide things easier. And these are all the things and way more that the UX covers. So my journey was going from front end to design to one step back to UX, and then I completely switched to community management.
Yeah, that's interesting, Pav, because at the same time it's a unique set of skills, because these days, and correct me if I'm wrong, from your point of view, it's most admired and more admired to have variety of skills. I would say it's not only like, okay, you know Vue.js or you know React and that's all what you know. It's often very valuable if you know why you are implementing something like this or why you are deciding something like that. So you already then had a mixture of interest and skills, and you were fulfilling them because you understood why you're implementing things in the specific ways, right?
Yes, I think the more you learn, the more you study, the more you have an interest to learn something, the more you also understand the things that you don't know. And it's a good thing to go a step back and realize what you don't know, so then you can study those things again and again until you are in a good point.
Okay, but then getting back to this transition and switch, let's talk about this DevRel for a little while, because I do believe that for a lot of people it's still a mystery role. Because again, we have programmers, we have senior programmers, we have managers, leaders, and then there are some mysterious developers relationship people or community managers. Let's start from demystifying what this role is, or these roles are, and how did you in general got exposed to that for the first time?
Yeah, sure. So let me start on how I got into this part,
Mm-hmm.
and later we can also discuss what developer relationships
Yeah.
is. So, as I was saying, I was doing my work as a front end developer, and I had an interest in UX and UI. But at that point, I also started, because I was learning a lot, I started also working with YouTube and presenting on YouTube the stuff that I was learning. I started writing articles about the things that I was learning. I started to be more on social media, and specifically on X. Sometimes I will call X Twitter, so yeah, keep that in mind. So I started being more social on X. I was posting a lot, and I started to have, let's say, a small community that I was talking with people either through my blogs or again YouTube or social media. And while I was doing that, I realized that I liked it, and I started to be more open in opportunities and in different kind of opportunities, not only working as a front-end developer, but maybe working as a developer relationship person. Back then, I also didn't know what that thing was, but a company approached me, and they told me that they already have a community and they would like to have a person there to moderate the community, to help with their social media, to write technical articles, to create YouTube videos. And they knew that I can do that because they had seen my profiles, they had seen my work on YouTube, social media, etc. So all those things really helped me to get the job, and it was a job that I really, really liked. It was at Hasno back then, and yeah, then it helped me a lot to keep going on this journey. And for the people that still haven't understood what a developer relationship is someone that has a lot of duties. It's not still very clear, and the developer advocates may have different jobs depending on the company. There are people who are focusing more on technical parts, so they will create technical tutorials, documentation, YouTube videos that they will be very technical focused depending on what their companies are doing. Maybe they will go to conferences, they will speak about their company's products. And then there are also developer advocates that they will maybe work with social media. Maybe they will work with communities on Slack or on Discord. Maybe they will have a newsletter as part of their company. Maybe they will create online events and online small conferences for the community and all this kind of stuff. So I'm focusing more on the last part, on the community side. That's why as a DevRel, my niche is community management. I realized that this is the thing that I like the most, talking with people, expressing my thoughts through social media and through blogging, and have a connection with the community. But also I do write from time to time technical things, technical tutorials or YouTube videos.
Okay, that's, for me it sounds like a perfect job. That's what I can
Yes.
say, because I do believe that a lot of people, like me included, are doing it just next to their job, or like when you were doing it, you were just sharing what you have learned because you wanted to share it, right? So that it wasn't a part of your job then yet. But
Yes.
then you were approached, it seemed like you were approached by someone who wanted to make you do what you love to do, but you didn't have enough time to, as a
Yes.
job. So that sounds like a perfect scenario. But I do believe that there is also a lot of, maybe not traps, but a lot of things that we are not seeing, right? So is there something what surprised you the most on those roles? Because you went also through a couple of already roles within this niche, I would
Yes.
say. Is there
Mhm.
something what I don't know, maybe is not that ideal from the outside that people don't see?
I think it's that you always have to know the trends. So you
Mm-hmm.
always need to be on social media, to read a lot of articles or to watch a lot of different things, to be connected with many people at the same time. So these are things that before getting into this role I wasn't aware of, because I was doing it for myself. But it's different when you're doing it for your own reasons, and it's a different thing when you're doing it for a company. And because all the companies that I work for are in tech, everyone is in tech, so things are moving fast. And if you are on social media and you want to have a nice post, let's say, you will usually talk about the latest things, so the best trends or the newest things. And you also want to be connected with many people, because from time to time you want to create partnerships with them. Maybe you can promote their own stuff and they can promote your company's products, or maybe you are doing a conference and you want those people to be speakers. So there are a lot of things that if you are not in the profession, maybe you don't think about. And also another thing is that you have to have quite a lot of skills. I get it that also as a developer you have to have a lot of skills, but it's not only that. You need, for example, to know how to create videos, how to edit videos, how to edit images. You need to know what time is your audience on social media. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Is it evening? You need to know these kind of things that you usually don't think of.
Yeah. Are you still practicing coding then? That's the question.
I do,
Because
I
you also
do.
need to be on top, right? And be up to date with skills there, right?
Yes, not as much as I used to do, but I do. Currently, the company that I work for is Vue School, so it's
Mm-hmm.
viewschool.io, and they have Vue courses. It's Vue courses,
Okay.
Next courses, Pinia courses, some JavaScript courses. And when I got in the company, I didn't really know a lot of stuff about Vue, only the very, very basics like Hello World, something like that. But because they have this big platform that they provide courses, and I get to be in touch with the instructors all the time, I started doing the courses from the platform. And these days, I'm actually learning Vue myself.
Nice. We love Vue. We use Vue most of the time in our teams as well. So that's great combination of technology and possibilities of that. That's awesome. That's a really awesome path and story. But I think I wanted to jump for a second to back to the beginnings, because when I saw your activity for the first time, it was when you shared your journey from the challenge that was called 100 Days of Code. And I did admire it then already, the huge commitment of posting. It was the rules were that you needed to post every day for 100 consecutive
Exactly.
days, right? About the
Yes.
code or some pieces of
Mhm.
code and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And again, kudos for the consistency then. uh,
Thank you.
I do believe that you did not know that many possibilities of social platforms then. Have you been scheduling posts then, or you were doing it every day, consecutive, specific time frame?
Mm.
How did you organize it then? That was something what I was curious about.
Yes, back then I was doing it every single day. I was not scheduling anything. And
Crazy.
it was actually, yes, a bit tough because you had to push your code on GitHub, and then you had to go on social media and say, hey, I did this and this and that. And you had a link usually to your GitHub profile or project or whatever you were doing. So I remember it was a bit hard. And at the time that I was doing this challenge, I had just started working as well. So yes, it was a bit tough, but eventually I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. And again, I know how hard it is, because I did even try to probably select a month where I was trying to post every day on Instagram something. And it was like even the ugliest picture that I took and the smallest description that I could write took a lot of time processing, thinking. Again, you need to find the part of your day when you can do that. So
Yeah.
it is a lot of discipline that is required to do something like that, right?
Yes, and it also needs an internal scheduling. Like you need to know when you're going to code or post or
Yeah.
whatever. But in the end, this challenge gave me, as you said, like a lot of opportunities. For me, this is where my career started. After 100 days of code, I feel my career started because with this challenge, I started using social media. Before that, I was not using them at all. But with 100 days, I had something to post for 100 days. And a lot of people struggling with what am I supposed to post? What am I supposed to comment? But for me, I had, let's say, a schedule of 100 days of what to post. And that was a big thing. And the other thing was that I could engage with people. I was using the hashtag 100 days of code, and I was checking that hashtag every day, and I was seeing what other people were doing. I was going to their post, I was commenting. And one thing is the engagement, which was a really nice thing, but the other thing was that at that point of my life, I really wanted to learn how to code. So by checking what other people were coding on social media, it gave me also more ideas on what I could code or how could I learn better. And yeah, overall I think it was a great thing. And also when I was doing this challenge, I started writing articles, and I started doing more YouTube videos. And the last but best thing that happened is that I wrote an article with 100 days of code, and that article was seen by the first person who invited me to their conference, which was in Umbraco in Denmark. So I really appreciate everything that 100 days of code did for me.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And again, for all the people who might watch it right now, it seems like maybe not that challenging these days because we have all the chat GPTs, generators, posts can be written. But it was the time when literally you needed to type down
Yeah.
every single word, find out every single image, or even create a screenshot yourself, edit it without some crazy tools that were cropping it for you in seconds. So yeah, again, it were a little bit different times also on socials, right? Because I think right now with all the kind of amount of content flying around the web, it became, at least for me, extremely challenging to follow the things and activities. But yeah, let's maybe talk about those social media a little bit, because I do remember when I approached you for the first time, when I was writing my ebook about the busy programmer's guide to social media, because I was also heavily in love with social medias then, and I wanted to explore and demystify the possibilities of social platforms for professionals like us in IT industry. And it was an amazing journey, and I still do remember a lot of thoughts and lessons that I've learned from them. You shared then how you approach the content calendar, how you are working with social medias. I won't be spoiling too much. Still, people can download it or message me if they want to dive into this ebook, and I will definitely share it with them. But how it changed for you since then? What is your right now number one social platform? How much time do you spend on social platforms? We'll get there into the time management in a
Yeah.
while. But how you are approaching social media platforms these days, and does it changed for you since the
Mhm.
beginnings?
Yes. So actually, a lot of things changed. Let's say that I started using social media on 2017 or 2018. So I've been using them for a while. And to be more specific, I've always used Twitter or X. I did use for a short period of time Instagram as well for professional reasons. So I had a professional account, but it didn't work for me so well. I got a lot of followers, but the point for me was not to have a lot of followers. The point for me was to have valuable content. And I'm proud for the content that I'm creating now and back then, but I wasn't so proud of the content that I was creating for Instagram, because I felt that on Instagram you want catchy things, or you want images and videos. And I felt that for my content, and back then I was creating content related to coding, I felt that through an image I cannot have something nice, something valuable, because with an image you can't copy paste the code, you cannot have a link to, I don't know, to GitHub or somewhere else. So Instagram was very, very hard for me. And I think that at some point I have 11K followers, and I said, okay, I will drop it. And I completely deactivated that account, and I never went back to that. Yes. So let's go back to Twitter, that I've been using for many, many years. As I said, back then I started only posting about coding, but then I slowly changed, and these days I post about coding. I post the articles that I'm writing, because I still write articles. I'm posting about other things that I'm doing, but they are still related to my career or to the professional things that I'm doing. I don't really post personal stuff. Um, these days, I also schedule my posts. I usually schedule them for the morning, because I know that I will have most of my audience in the morning. And usually it's a good time for me before I start my work to check Twitter and reply to messages or engage with people. And there's also another thing, that sometimes I have a lot of ideas and I want to post many things, and sometimes I don't have any ideas. That's why I like scheduling. So I don't want to spam people with 10 different posts in 1 hour. And yes, or sometimes it's very late in the evening and I have some good ideas that I want to post about, but I know that if it's like 12 in the evening, not many people from my audience will be there. So I will try to schedule them for the next morning. And I also know that there will be times in my life that I will be very, very busy. Like it's been the previous week that I was in a conference, and I know that I wouldn't have time at all to be there. So I was scheduling my posts last week. But yeah, pretty much these are the things that I'm doing with Twitter.
So Twitter probably is the one that is taking the much of your attention. You also did build a lot of following on YouTube at some point. We were talking about it. I was surprised with the number because I'm as a beginner YouTuber. I do appreciate the amount of content that you share there, and it's almost 7,000 follow subscribers if I do recall correctly now. But again, it takes a lot of time and effort, and video is generally more challenging
Yes.
than text, but also easier these days, probably thanks to some tools and automations, right?
Yes, and although I don't do a lot of YouTube right now, if I had to give an advice to someone that wanted to start a YouTube channel, I would say that they should focus on a specific thing. They should find their niche and focus on that. When I started on YouTube, I was doing quite a few different stuff, which I think is not the best idea, because your audience or someone that is watching your video, they are watching them for a specific reason. Maybe they like vlogs, or maybe they like technical things, or maybe they're into JavaScript, or they are into Java. So they have a specific field that they are into. If your YouTube channel have many different stuff, they probably, maybe they will watch a few of your videos, but they won't follow you, because they usually follow you for very specific reasons. And when I started my channel, I was doing, as I said, quite a few different stuff. I was doing vlogs from conferences, because I used to go to a lot of conferences. So I was doing this kind of vlogs, like, hey, I went there and I did this in that conference, and I would show some clips from the conference that I went to and stuff like that. But I was also doing some coding videos from the things that I was learning, like, hey, this is how you can build a to-do app, or this is how you can build this and that and that. So I have different kind of things, which I'm not sure if it was very helpful, but I am thinking to start doing YouTube again. The reason that I haven't really started it is because I'm not sure exactly what my content I would like to be. But as we were talking a little bit off record as well, sometimes I feel that if X stop existing, or if Instagram stop existing, like, what's going to happen with me? Because I heavily rely on X. I have my followers there, I have my audience there, and I really respect them. I spend a lot of time through my day on Twitter. I will be there, as I said, in the mornings, but I also will be on my lunch break. I will also be on the afternoon after my work. And it's a huge part of my life, Twitter. But on the other hand, I can't stop thinking of what will happen if we don't have X. And we saw a decline, like everyone saw a decline, for example, on X, when we have, I don't want to go through the political stuff, but when we
Yeah,
had like Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all this
change
kind
of
of thing.
ownership. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes, yes. Blue Sky started to take over. So it was a big change, and it still is a big change. And that's why I'm thinking YouTube more and more. I like YouTube as a platform. I also spend many hours on YouTube, like watching what other people are doing. So I have it as a backup plan to start YouTube again.
Yeah, that was also on the list of my questions, because I do the same. I do spend a lot of time still on socials, because I'm interested in general contents of other creators, but I do also want to create more. And I did speak with Milan Jovanovic recently, who also shared that for him the direct relation through the email marketing list is something what is essential, because again, that one platform might have closed down even, or there might be some either other political movements or whatever else might happen for platforms, and they will disappear. So then there's still some kind of fallback or relation is maintained somewhere else, because again, to specific level, I would say, of recognition, it is important, and it is kind of crucial to keep this relation going. But at some point, let's say if you or someone is so much recognized, people will find him or her or wherever they will go.
Mhm.
But to some level, probably it's not a thing, because no one will be jumping through the social platforms. Not everyone is also an early adopter of every new possible platform, right? So that's a tricky person. But I'm glad that you've mentioned that you might be coming back to various other platforms, because
Yeah.
the diversification is really good thing here. But did you
Yeah.
ever think about building products next to the social media platforms? Did you try to it's I don't like the word monetize, but
Yeah.
generally do anything outside of social platforms to be independent
Um,
more?
Not really. I actually get that question from a few people, like, how do you monetize your social media? But I don't do
Yeah.
that. So the only thing that I do is that I have my calendar link, and if someone wants to book a chat with me, they can do that. This is paid. Some people sometimes they DM me and they ask for advices, and I try to reply back, but it takes a lot of my time to be there for them. So in the end I say, okay, I have this link, if you want to discuss this further, let's go, let's have a real chat, and we can discuss this, and we can discuss through everything. But this is something paid. And the other thing that I do with social media, again through this link, I say that if you are a company or an individual that you want to build a personal brand, or if you are a company to take care of your social media a little bit more, maybe we can have a call, we can have a chat. And sometimes companies and individuals do contact me. It's something that I really like doing. I really
Mm-hmm.
like working with people or companies, because I feel that I have to offer something. I'm here for many, many years, and I feel that I have some experience. And because I have been doing both for personal reasons, but for professional reasons as well, like it's my career, I feel that I actually have some knowledge, and I like passing it through other people.
Yeah, you have a lot of knowledge, that's for sure. And that's also one of the next questions, because I think it's challenging, and correct me if I'm again wrong, to draw a line in between of you as Eleftheria and then the company or companies that you were working with or you're working with. And you've mentioned that again, it is your activity that brought you the career and also the interest from these companies. And
Mhm.
I'm happy to hear that you are also not doing this to just monetize your audience, because that's again, that's something what, again, if you would be a business runner and then you would treat your community as clients
No.
effectively, that's probably not the best business model in social media, because this is still a human to human relation. uh, it's tough to convert it into the question, but I think like it is interesting to ask you if you feel like sometimes you try to jump off from the professional role and then you become more Eleftheria, or if you are right just doing this because you are doing it, and you would probably still do that if you would be working for someone or not working for someone. How this looks from your point of view now?
Yeah, I think that I would still doing that, because I started not knowing this world. I started
Hmm.
without having the intention to be a developer advocate. So I think if I completely change jobs, which I don't think that will happen, but if these professions stop exist, I think that I would still do that, because I'm still learning new things. And when I learn something new, I want to write a blog about it, or I want to create a video about it, or I still feel the urge that I want to connect with other people, with like-minded people. I want to see what other people are doing. So it's not only me on social media that I post something and then I wait for replies, but I really see what other people are doing. And this is also very inspiring for me, because I learn from them, and then I can go one step further and build something or create something. And yeah.
And I do also can say, seeing it from the outside, that even though it's social media, it's platforms, you are there building a real strong relationships as well between the people. Because I do try to follow some of the people who also recommended your content at some point. Then you were recommending someone else's content and activities. Then I realized that these people also became some kind of more like advocates or DevRels. Then you were visiting the same conferences across the globe,
Yeah,
also, in Poland and various other locations. locations too, right? So that's crazy how similar interests can connect these people, because again, back in the days it wasn't even a thing. Now it's like
Exactly.
company sees the value of having people who want to do this, because not everyone wants to do that, right? So that's interesting. That's interesting that
Exactly. Yeah.
awesome. I think again it results in a lot of relations, and at the same time it opens up the possibilities for other people who might want to do that, but they never had a chance or support from their current companies, like let's say to do it more as a part of the job, right?
Yeah, yeah. But sorry if I'm interrupting you. One more thing that I would like to add is sometimes there is also that thing, and I've talked about that with other developer advocates, that they are big on social media, meaning that they have a lot of followers. And they told me that sometimes companies approach them only because they had a lot of followers, and they thought that if they make a partnership or something, or a collaboration, or if that the developer advocate worked for them, then that means that they would promote their stuff on their personal account,
Mm,
which is not always the case. Just because we work for some companies, it doesn't mean that we will all the time promote their products. We do
mm,
that when we are inside the company, and maybe we will use the company's accounts to create some social media posts about their products, but it doesn't mean that me as an individual will always speak about my company, or I will always promote
mm,
my company. Of course, I work there, I like the things that I'm doing there, but it doesn't mean that I have to promote their companies even on my free time or on my personal account. And it was very interesting for me, because it never happened for me to a company approaching me only for promoting their stuff, but other developer advocates told me that this happened to them.
mm. That's really interesting, and I think this is also, it also depends from first of all approach of the people. But again, some people treat work as work, life as life. Some people fell completely and cannot draw a line in between, and then it became natural and normal for them to talk about work after work, etc.
Yeah.
If they feel it. But again, no one owns anyone, and I think this is important to be aware that this is happening. I didn't know that this is happening, because obviously we with the big following, then the big kind of tricks and challenges became more seen. So
Mhm.
that's great that you shared that. I think important what I want to talk about next is how are you doing it, and one thing before we will jump to the time organization, to the time organization things. I wanted to ask you about, do you still jump into the trap of following the statistics on your accounts and socials? Because I do be I can speak for myself only, because when I started any kind of new platform, I was always looking, oh yeah, I have this amount of followers, this amount of subscribers, this amount of this. Then it became less relevant, because it wasn't about the specific number, but more about what I get out of it, what people get out of it. But at some point, of course, these numbers also are seen and matters for someone, maybe at some
Mhm.
point. Do you still check it? Do you still strive
Yes.
to
So
grow, or is it
I
became
I
natural
think
for
it
you?
was like you described it, exactly as you described it. So when I started using social media, I was checking the numbers and the statistics a lot. But then I realized that this is not the point. For me as an
Mhm.
individual, the point is not to have a lot of followers. Like I don't have a specific number that I want to reach. Uh, or the point is not to have like 50 answers in one question. It's not like that. The value that I get from social media is the engagement, and how I engage with people and how they engage for me. For example, when it might sound silly, but when I get a question that 100 people will answer that question, I feel kind of bad. I know it sounds weird, but I feel kind of bad because I cannot go through all those answers. I don't have the
Mhm.
time to go through 100 answers, and there will be some people that I'm not going to answer, and then I feel bad. But if I get like 30, 40 answers, then I can reply to everyone, and then we can have some small conversations. And I know a lot of people, and people that have a lot of followers, that they care more, let's say. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want it to sound bad, but I know people that care a lot of the number of
Mm-hmm.
followers. And if you check their profiles, they don't really answer back, or they don't engage with other people a lot. But I try to engage with everyone, especially when they reply to me. And if I have then extra time, I will go and engage with other people as well. So that's how I work with it.
That's nice. Okay, then thank you for answering that. And then let's talk about how you organize this to make it work. I've asked you, same as any other busy programmer who is joining me, to share their calendar view, and I have your calendar view. So if you maybe can take us through typical, let's say, day, week, or month for you. How does it look? How you plan your time? You've mentioned some scheduling techniques to save some of your time for something else rather than posting on the specific times. Talk us through and tell us, how do you organize your time? Because I'm extremely interested in knowing the secrets of being so much active and still
Um,
having life.
Yes, so this right now that you can see is my work schedule, and it's basically the meetings that I have with my work. Thankfully,
Hmm.
I'm working in a remote company, and our managers and the leaders, they don't like meetings so much. They value their own time, but also they value our own time. So we will have meetings, but not many of them. So, but these are pretty much the standard meetings that I have.
Hmm.
And other than that, I'm trying to not to work very very early, because as I said, a remote company, and the time schedule is a little bit different for everyone. So usually I will have a couple of hours in the morning just for myself, usually 8 to 10. I wake up at 7:30, so around 8 to 10 it will be my time. This is my time to go on social media. This is my time to write a blog post, or to create a YouTube short or something like that. But after that, usually 10 to 7 is the time that I will work. And I have 1 hour of lunch break, and this is also the time that I will cook something very quickly, but check social media, go through emails, and again all this kind of stuff. And then in the afternoon after work, I will either go back to social media, or I will try to have a little bit of my personal life. Yeah, because things are hard if you're working for 7 to 8 hours, and if you also want to build a personal brand, but you need to have some time for friends, family, your partner, or whatever. But these are the things that I'm doing. Honestly, I don't have any tricks or anything. The only thing that I do to save myself some time is to wake up a little bit earlier. And
Hmm.
if I'm not on social media, I will try to go in the morning to the gym, and then through the weekends I will spend a lot of time on scheduling everything, refining everything, reviewing everything. So usually my weekends are pretty busy because I don't have a lot of time through the week. And another thing that I'm doing that helps with my productivity, and I do this through work. So let's say 10 to 7, I use a lot of the Pomodoro technique. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe for the people that are not very familiar with that, is that you set a time tracker for 20 or 25 minutes, and you will be very focused for that specific time, and then you will take a short break, maybe like 5 minutes, but you keep that to the maximum, and you are focused on that 20 or 25 minutes as much as you can. And it's something that it has helped me a lot. I've been doing that for years. It's not something new for me. But I recently found, I know a lot of people like to listen to some chill music when they are working, and a lot of people are using on YouTube or Spotify the Lofi girl.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yes,
my
and
thing as well recently.
yes, and I recently realized that they also have a Lofi girl, but as a Pomodoro. So every
Yeah.
20 to 25 minutes they have this click or break, and they have lower the music or softer the music. So lately I've been following that a lot.
Yeah, same here. I was introduced to another Pomodoro sessions on YouTube called HDHD Pomodoro, possibly made for people who have a diagnosed ADHD, and Maciek Korsen, who have a diagnosed ADHD, shared it with me here on the Busy Programmer series as well, and it has the similar things. It has some kind of introduction when you are supposed to clean up your desk, take care of the environment around you, and generally get into the focus mode. Then there are some Pomodoro sessions, and I recently realized that it helps me a lot as well during the day to again cut out from everything else, all the
Yeah.
distractions, because I do try to. And whenever the timer ticks, I do feel like, okay, now I'm supposed to be working,
Yeah.
so better do the work, right? Because it won't be done itself. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that this is something that you're also practicing.
Mhm.
Uh, because I was going to ask you about some tricks. Again, being so consistent. Again, coming from the past, even those challenges and then activities, posting every day. Of course, right now we are also knowing that some of it is scheduled. But what happens if you don't have any idea to share? If you don't have anything to share, and if you have the days where I don't know, you don't want to share, because I do believe that like everyone else, you have some worse days as well, right? So what happens
Yes.
then?
That's why I'm scheduling things these
Hmm.
days, because there will be days that I won't have a lot of content, but I know that there are some days that I will have a lot of things to share. The thing is that I spend a lot of time on social media, not just because I want to, but it's also part of my job as a
Yep.
community manager. I get to spend a lot of time on social media, so I see a lot of things, I read a lot of things, and then I usually have something to talk about. But maybe for the people that they don't spend so much time on social media, maybe they could use AI's help and ask about some ideas. But I would say in that case, again, to have a niche and don't just ask or try to engage with the with something very general, because in the end this is not very helpful. You may get some clicks, you may get some likes, you may get some responses, but you have to have an end goal in your mind. Why are you doing this? Do you want to achieve something specific? And if you're just asking questions like tea or coffee, or are you a morning person or a night owl, I don't think that this will eventually lead something. This is something that I do. For example, I do have these questions if you go to my feed, but
Hmm.
it's something that I do for fun, and just because I want to see what my followers are doing. But my main questions, or my main core, or the things that I'm mainly posting are, for example, things about AI, because I recently got more into AI and I want to learn more about AI. And for example, I have a lot of questions right now in my feed about AI, because it's a fast way also of learning. When you don't know something and you ask about
Just
it, and
ask.
then I will,
Yeah.
yes, just
Yeah.
ask, and then you will get some answers. So it's quite a fast way of learning as well. Or because I write articles for my company, if I don't have my own article, I will take the article that I wrote for my company and I will post it on my feed. So for me, there are always stuff to post. It's
Hmm.
just the scheduling thing, that you have to schedule it, so you will have some things on Monday and Tuesday, on Wednesday, etc.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. But you did not share, at least it's not seen from your calendar, that you are kind of blocking yourself at times when you do the
No.
specific things. It just
Mm,
became more like a routines for you, or you do not
yes.
try to be very fixed on that, but you
No,
just
I'm,
do
I'm
it.
actually pretty fixed, but I think that it became a routine, as you said.
Okay.
For example, I remember when I started doing social media, and I was right now I'm working from home, but back then I had to go to a company, to an office, and I was using the bus to go at work. So I remember that back then I also had a fixed time. Every morning that I was
Mm.
taking the bus, I would be on social media, and every afternoon I would again be on social media. So I had my specific time even back then. And I know now, for example, that I'm quite busy with work and I won't have much time on during the day. I will be in the morning and I will be again in the afternoon, maybe a little bit during lunchtime as well. But that's it. And that's like scheduling for me, it helps me a lot, and I advise people to schedule posts as well. Sometimes people say that this is not very authentic, or they just want to go with the flow, but for me it's not working so well to go with the flow, so I prefer to schedule everything.
Yeah. So I need to take it as a lesson as well, because I do always feel like you did give me food for thoughts about, those audience being active on specific times. There's a lot of thinking next to being active, and so, because it's not, when people see it from the outside, observing the biggest people in the world, let's say that, whenever they go and tweet or post something, there is a lot of activity. There's
Yeah.
an activity every 5-10 minutes or hour. Then it's so much of that then maybe became less relevant when people are active or not active, because it goes further. But for the people, like, let's say, normal people who are really in relations with other normal people, it makes a change if people can see this post, because again, there are some algorithms, there's some other magic that we might not even know how it works, but at the end there's still someone who will or won't see it, right? So that's
Yeah.
a lot of thinking. But I'm glad you've mentioned something like that, because I did realize this and did notice a lot of questions on your activities, and yeah, people are the source of ideas, and everything like that
Yes,
can transition into
exactly.
another
Exactly.
topic, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then having a lot of people to talk to makes it better. But I do really also talk a lot with AI tools these days too, because again, if we sometimes don't have someone around ourselves to compete this idea with, these tools became more and more accurate, and of course they have a lot of data
Yeah.
uh, about specific problems that probably someone else already had. Right, so
Exactly.
that's impressive how they can help. But again, knowing for what they can help and how to use it, because again, that's also something what we probably talked about or mentioned in the ebook, that the purpose of this activity matters. And of course, for you, it might be that you are doing it right now as a part of the job, and of course you are also building your personal brand because you know for what you are doing it. But a lot of people might see it as or might do these activities without any purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's no guarantee that it will transition into something. So doing it for something makes more sense. Did
Yeah.
you know that when you started? Probably not, but did you know where it can bring you, or for what
No,
you were doing it?
no, I had no idea back then that it would turn out like this. But now I'm really thankful that I did it. And I suggest all the time to people that they should do something similar. And maybe they have different interests that me or you, but they still have some interest. For example, most of the people that I'm talking with, they are developers. So
Mhm.
and they are asking me, okay, so what should I post? They should post something relevant to what they are doing, because probably they are doing it every day. So they get to build something, they get to learn something at work. Maybe a colleague asked them something, or maybe they asked something and they got a nice answer. But then sometimes they reply back, okay, yes, but it's not an open source, I cannot talk about this. Okay, that's true. That's a tough thing, but maybe you can say something similar, or maybe you could create a smaller project similar to what you're doing at work, or just take a part of the thing that you're doing at work, and maybe you can talk about that, and you can have your GitHub link, so more people, maybe they can follow you there. Maybe you can write an article about it and share it with your followers. Maybe you can create a YouTube tutorial on how you build that small project. So there are a lot of things that you can actually do. And it's also, maybe if you don't have something today, maybe you can check what you did last week or last month. Maybe you can take an idea and rebuild it or do it better, or even just say, hey, I'm improving that product, can you give me some feedback? What else would you like to see here? So I believe that there are many stuff that you can do.
Yeah. And I do also believe that people are often helpful, and they want to help by
Yeah.
their activity, right? So I did even remember right now on one of my recent interviews, someone commented out that they were not able to share their knowledge because everything was behind the intellectual property. And then
Hmm.
I thought about it and I said, oh yeah, yes, but you cannot share what you have built, but you can always talk about how you approach
Yes.
it. what steps were done to build something. It doesn't need to be shared what has been built and for who exactly, but the steps and the processes. And again, there's always someone behind us. There's always someone who was not following the same path and don't want to go the same path, right? So that's never
Yes.
enough of these stories.
Yes. And also, sometimes I get this question from beginners, and they are afraid to share stuff because they are beginners. But I'm giving them my example that when I started with 100 days of code, I was completely beginner, but I still did it. So I encourage them that even as beginners, they should do it and they should share stuff because they have a unique perspective. If you ask the same question to two people, one junior and one senior, they will give you a different answer. Maybe both answers are correct, but they have different perspectives. So I always say that even as a beginner, you can share things because you're sharing your own perspective, and the perspective of a junior may help another junior because the juniors will have pretty much the same mindset. And I don't know, it's a different thing to hear something from a senior developer that maybe they know stuff very well, but they will forget to mention some details because they think that you already know them. But for a junior, it's not going to be like that. They will give you the details and the things that you really want to learn and hear about. So yes, and for the people that are listening to us right now, if there is any junior developer that wants to start social media, I would totally advise you to do it, to go for it, start posting. You always have something to share.
Yeah. And even if you don't have anything interesting to share your thoughts, share your questions, share your general concerns as well. It's also an interaction, I would say, because it helps creators and people on the other side to relate to and be heard. Because again, the worst thing that I saw, at least from all the activities, is like whenever you spend a lot of time preparing something, either is it a post, maybe or a code or video, whatever, and then you share it and no one sees it. Or no one comments it, or maybe they see it, but no one relates with it. There is no engagement, if you would name it in correct words, right? But so that's why it's important also to engage with things and to be seen from the other point of view, because then you as a creator, someone else as a person in the internet knows that it's for and with other people, not just to the
Yeah.
echo chamber or whatever, right? So that's. But yeah, I kind of like the way how you compare the senior and juniors programs. I recently had a discussion about people who wanted to ask Jeff Bezos on how to automate sales process when they wanted to start their first Shopify project. Right? So that's like, yeah, it's not the right target person to ask questions about starting e-commerce, right? So that's a good analogy to what you've said just about those juniors and seniors, right? Awesome. One thing that I also wanted to ask you right now is like, despite of all the activities right now, also community management. What tools are you using other than social platforms to again organize your work? Is there a lot of tooling attached to what you do, or is it mainly platforms, emails, and then of course code and IDEs or whatever else you are using to code
Yes,
this thing?
there are not a lot of tools that I'm using. I'm using, for example, Trello or Notion for my personal stuff and keep notes for everything, especially for the plans or the things that I want to do that take more time. I want to write everything down, so I will do that either on Trello or on Notion, depending on the project. But for the very short term things, I actually have pen and paper, um, and I go with that. Yes, exactly. I have my papers all in front of me. So yeah, I don't have any specific
Yeah.
tool.
Okay, and then my last question about the organization of your work is, when do you find time for education? When you learn, and how do you combine it with your kind of sharing process of knowledge? Is sharing a part of your knowledge process and education process as well, or do you kind of aim to find specific, let's say, I don't know, days, times, or mindset, even though to,
Mhm.
okay, right now I'm learning, I'm not sharing and teaching.
Yes, this is a good question, and it's a bit tricky because um, I don't remember if I mentioned it, but the last 4 or 5 months I've been to a new company, and I have more and more work, so it's difficult for me to find time. But on the other hand, I don't think that you cannot find time. There are always small things that you can do to find time. So for me, this will be either after work or on the weekends. After work, maybe I am a little bit tired, so I cannot do like high level stuff. Like if it's something completely new that I have to learn, let's say in Vue or Next, maybe it's not the best time for me to learn that after work, and I know that, so I will leave that for the weekend that I have a clear mind and more time. But for example, I know that after work, maybe I can sit down for a couple of hours to write an article or edit a video. Or for example, if I have to create a video, I will do it early in the morning, that I have also better lighting and more natural light. So I always have a plan in my mind. I always, as I said, I write stuff down, so I know what takes me more time, I know what takes me less time, and I also know the schedule that I will have next week or even next month. And depending on that, I will do my schedule. But most of my personal stuff, and as you asked me about the learning stuff, this will be through the weekend. And if I want to create some content, then I can do that through the week, but I can learn better through the weekend.
Okay. And do you then treat it as a detached from work on some chilled out approach, or do you still have some things or hobbies and passions that you do to completely detach from tech industry? I know that you were dancing, right? You
Yes,
were.
that's correct. That's
Are you
correct.
still doing that, or do you still have any other hobbies like this to again turn off your digital mind and do something
Yeah.
instead?
So, as you said, I used to dance, and last year as well, I used to go back to my dance school. And for the people that don't know me, I used to dance
It
ballet
was a
and
ballet, right?
contemporary.
Yeah,
Yes, it
exactly.
was ballet and
Exactly.
contemporary. I really, really like those stuff. Sometimes at home, I even do it. Uh, but then, because right now I'm working until late, I don't have the time to go to those classes. So right now I cannot do that, and they also don't have classes early in the morning. So I'm going to the gym. I'm trying to stick to a schedule there as well. I'm trying to go to 3 days, sometimes four when I don't have a conference or a meetup, but four is the best case. But 3 times, it's something that works nicely for me. And I also feel that I need to go to the gym, because otherwise I spend a lot of time at home. I spend a lot of time not interacting with real people. I have them on a monitor, but they are not near me or anything. So the gym is really, really helpful for me for many reasons. Not just to move my body, but also it makes me feel better. It gives me confidence. I speak with real people. I do all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I do, except of tech.
Gym movement, yeah, that's nice. I need to do it more a little bit. I still play basketball, but I do feel like I need more movements rather than sitting also as well. So that's really important to hear that it helps you as well. And last one thing that I remembered about asking you was about travels. You've mentioned that you still probably do travel a lot. How does it look for you? Do you keep your schedule and routines when you travel, or is it something like you treat as
Yeah.
separate fun?
Um, I'm not traveling as much as I used to travel, and I was mainly traveling for conferences. So it was probably once per month I would travel in some country, usually in Europe. But these days I travel less and less. One of the reasons that I took this decision was that traveling took much time, and I
Yeah.
realized that I don't have so much time going to conferences, because you have to take an airplane, then you have to find the transportation to go to your hotel, then you have to go to the conference. There are usually some activities after the conference, and I realized that I don't have so much time.
Yeah, it looks
uh,
awesome on Instagram, but then people don't realize that you are spending a lot of time sitting in the empty airport or whatever, right? Trying to just kill your time somehow, right?
Yes, and I also live in a small city, which means that I don't have a lot of direct flights. Usually, I have to fly
Mm.
somewhere and then somewhere else, which is also kind of an issue for me. But I love traveling, so maybe in the future I will go back to traveling more. I don't want to stop doing it completely. But the other thing that you asked me about, how do I keep up my schedule or if I don't keep it, to be honest, I don't really keep my schedule when I'm traveling. Maybe the time zones are different. Maybe I have to do completely different things. For example, last week that I was with my company in the Netherlands, it was the Vue.js conference and the JS World conference. So I was taking part there with my company. I didn't keep my schedule at all. I didn't sleep well. I was eating not my usual foods. As I said, I didn't spend the time even on social media that I could post a lot of things from the conference, but I was more focused on work. So I didn't even do a lot of social media. So yes, when I'm traveling, I don't do those things.
Good to know. Good to know that it's also challenging for a lot of people, because when I reflected on my activities, it was also like whenever I was going somewhere, for me it was the time when I was more interested in sharing where I am, what I'm doing. It was like for me it was more interesting than, let's say, usual things. But at the same time, when you go there to do some work or build some relations, or you have other responsibilities, for example, then it's completely normal to completely not do that as well. So it's like it requires a balance, and then it is challenging to keep routines or whatever else in place when you are doing completely different things with different circumstances around. So that's great. That's great to hear and relate to. Awesome. I think that the next question and the next segment is about what's next for you. We are here. You are busy doing the current role, but I do believe that you are working on a lot of initiatives or things that might be again seen in the next future. Are there any exciting specific projects or initiatives on the horizon that you are particularly passionate about now?
Yes, so lately I am more into AI, as many folks out
As,
there.
as most of people, right? Yes, of course.
Yes, so, and because as I said, I spend a lot of time on social media. Every day I see something new, a new AI trend or a new AI tool, a new AI service. So I'm also trying to check them on my own. Sometimes we have too many things coming up and I cannot check or keep all the updates. But this is also becoming a part of my job, which is quite helpful. At my job right now, we are creating two new, let's say, social media accounts to simplify it, that are about AI. One account is for helping devs
Mm-hmm.
on how they can improve their career or their productivity, what tools they can use, or if they are creating a product that they think it will be helpful for other AI and sorry for other developers that has to do with AI, maybe then they can come in touch with me and I will help them to promote that product into this AI account. So this is one thing that I am doing. And the other thing is that I'm also creating an AI again community, but this time a little bit more general for every professional, for marketers, for designers, for accountants or whatever, for people that they want to use AI, but maybe they still don't know exactly how they can use it. And also how they can work with AI, because still a lot of people say, okay, AI will come and it will take our jobs. So with these two communities, I'm trying to say that AI, yes, it's here, but it can be a helpful assistant, not something that it will take our jobs. So this is something that I'm very passionate about. This is something that I've been working a lot lately, and that's why I'm also spending so much time on social media to see what's going on, to use it myself, and then to share it with people, to ask people if they also have anything AI related that it's worth sharing. And yeah, these are the stuff
Ah,
that I'm
nice.
doing and I'm really passionate about.
And these profiles are already existing in the web. Can we link them up in the episode?
Yes, that would
Yes.
be
Yeah.
really helpful. If you could link them, I will send you
Yeah,
everything.
definitely. Definitely, I'm again. If it's built for people like us, again, I do agree with you, and I think that I see a need for demystifying AI even more. Even though we, as let's say technical people, know in theory a little bit more than let's say humans or normal people, I see AI adoption amongst industries, people everywhere. Even my wife, who is a pharmacist, came to me and say, "Oh, I was speaking with ChatGPT or Perplexity about this and that," and she's kind of researching a lot of ideas right now through the platform. So knowing more and having exposure to more use cases, examples, real world scenarios, right? Or even just seeing someone else doing something else with it helps in effectively using them for us then. Right? So I will definitely link to all of the platforms
Thank you.
that are there, and I will follow as well to
Thank you
again
very
learn
much.
more and know more about that. So that's awesome that you are doing it. So yeah, is that consuming most of your, let's say, computation in your head at the moment? Is there?
Yeah, I would
That's
say that this one takes most of my time these days.
awesome. And how do you think like this AI from your personal point of view, or right now competing the world of social media's content creation back then when everything needed to be written down, taught, and so on, with right now possibilities of even having posts being completely written for us, the ideas flying around, and the content that is almost generated on the fly for us. How do you see this affecting us as an IT professionals? And do you think it will be helpful more or more destroying us as people who wants to consume this content somehow as well?
Yeah, so I think that AI really help us create content, create faster content. It can give us ideas, but from the other hand, we should be really careful when we are using it, because you can see very easily, you can spot the content very easily when it's completely created with AI and a human haven't touched it. And it's very, very different with something that a real human has written. You can still see those differences, especially for us, for the people that are not native English speakers. Some phrases or some expressions are things that I would personally never use. Maybe I know all the words, but I would never use them like
Yeah.
that, like an AI tool. And most of my friends also are not English native speakers. So I can quite easily understand if something is written from an AI bot or if it's really written by them. For me, the scary thing is not so much of creating a post on social media, but answering with AI. Because if you
Mm.
answer to someone on social media, it usually means that you want to engage with them. But if you want to engage with them, why do you use a bot to
Yeah.
reply as it is you? For me, this is the scary part, which I think people should should be a little bit more careful on how they use AI. It's good to use it for inspiration, but it's weird using it to replace yourself. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I would say that has to do with authenticity is that yes, we see posts, answer tweets, whatever, that they are looking like more and more like sometimes you read five things and those five things sound or seem very familiar because they are all written from an AI. I think that in this case, if a human wrote something, it would stand out and it would attract more people. You would engage with more people rather than if you had some content from AI. And again, I believe this is something that we should be a little bit more careful about.
Yeah. Same with the code and everything basically right now that is generated. But I kind of remember right now about some past events when AI is right now a thing, let's say more and more seen. But previously there was a lot of bots as well in the
No.
internet. And they were also replying on every post, on every
Yeah.
activity, and these days it's just harder to spot on. Or as you've mentioned, it's not harder because still people who knows what is human related, what is generated, what is fake. I named it as like some kind of bullshit detector as well on LinkedIn because I see those posts, and everyone knows these posts as well, which are created by some automation stuff. So it will be valuable to be yourself and be human, and it's same amongst the tech, amongst the code. It can help. I see it these days that it can help, but it can harm if we will trust it too much. At
Exactly.
least now,
Mhm.
because again, it won't be a solution for everything, and we need to still think, which is important skill to have, I would say. Um, awesome. I think that I will ask you one more question before we'll jump into the two final segments of the interview. But one thing that just to summarize the whole experience, the journey that you have, and again, if there are people who are watching us right now and would like to follow the steps that you did, for example, because they feel like the role or the DevRel landscape might be something interesting for them, what would be the number one or one piece of advice that you would give them, or something that you would like to hear when you started,
Mhm.
that might help them right now to, again, be even more effective in their activity forward?
Yes, I would say that they should find their niche pretty soon, so they should stick to that, and they should also be very consistent, because like every day you have to show up yourself, you have to do something, either it's social media or it's writing an article or a YouTube video, which, for example, writing an article, it's not an easy task, it will take more time, but try to do that. And if you can't write an article today, maybe go on social media and say, hey, I have this idea, I want to write about this, what do you think? And then the next day, okay, I started writing this, I still haven't finished this, but this is the research that I've done so far to write an article. So again, there is all the time something to share or to speak about. Just be consistent and don't expect to see results in 1 day, 2 days, or 3 weeks. It will take more time, but eventually it will come.
That's a great set of advices, I would say. So thanks for sharing that, Eleftheria.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think two final bits. Then we are talking for 1 hour and 15 minutes already, so that
Yes.
time flies. One thing is a question from other fellow busy programmer, and I will also ask you to leave me the question that you don't know for who will be asked for. But the question that was asked for you, it's interesting because we were talking about it during the conversation. But this is the real question left by one of the busy programmers that I was interviewing recently. And the question for you is, if you are not doing your current profession, what would you be doing instead?
Okay, so let's say if I was not a community manager, and if also I was not a front-end developer, which is the thing that I was doing in the
Mm-hmm.
past, I think that I would be a teacher or something like that, because I like teaching. So I think that I would go to that profession. And I also like small kids, so probably I don't know, I would go to younger ages and I would try to teach something.
That's interesting. Again, we hear it a lot from the kid itself that they want to become teachers all the time. I hear it even from my daughters all the time that they want to become teachers, but no one pursued that much. But then I feel like you and a lot of people who share their knowledge, they have this kind of urge and need to really expose what you have inside, what you have learned, even despite if it's tech or not tech related. Again, it's
Yeah.
just something what you know that someone else might not know yet, right? So that's great. That's a great profession. So
Yeah.
again, fingers crossed that the technology won't go anywhere, and the social platforms and the
Yeah.
businesses around that won't disappear, and then you wouldn't need to change the profession. But again, always backup plan is worth having. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you very much for your answer. And again, I will, off the record, ask you for a question to be written down, and I will ask this question for someone who will be interviewed by me in the future. And the final segment is something what I adopted from other podcasters, and this is something what you do on a daily basis. It's called quick questions, aka
Okay.
shots, where you will have a couple of questions where the answer is either option A or option B, or yes
Mhm.
or no, or there is one single answer, and there is no explanation why this answer is given. So it's just an answer, and I will ask a couple of questions like this. So you should be quite familiar with them, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, let's
Uh,
do this.
yes, so a couple of quick shots for you. The first one is handwritten notes or digital notepads,
A.
AI support or human teammate,
B.
Open office or working from home?
Working from home, definitely.
Weekends for side projects or weekends for relax?
Weekend for side projects.
And late nights or early mornings?
I think early mornings.
And that were the quick shots. So easy, easy. Thank you very much for providing these answers. And Eleftheria, big thanks for, first of all, again, being willing to share your knowledge with my audience and through my channel here. I think it's still, it is constantly impressive for me how consistent you were since we met for the first time, and how your career evolved through all of those years. And it's amazing to see that you are helping for so many other people to see it, to be connected with them, each other, and it was amazing to get some pieces of advices from you today. So again, big thanks for dedicating your time
No,
to me and my people here. And for all of those who might want to catch up with you, to find your activity, to follow what you are doing in the internet, again, we've mentioned social media platforms again, but I'll leave you say it as well, where people can find you the best.
so they can find me on X, on LinkedIn, or on Instagram. Maybe you can link those accounts as well.
I will.
Also, if people have any ideas for me, what they want to see from me on YouTube, maybe they can also, I don't know, leave a comment or answer me on social media, whatever they prefer. But I also wanted to say that it was a big pleasure for me being here. When I saw your message inviting me to do this podcast, I knew that I wanted to come. You were also one of the first persons that I met in a conference, and we had like a real connection. We sit with each other and we talked. So it's always a pleasure when I see you on social media or in my DMs. And thank you for doing this podcast and everything else that you're doing.
Oh, thank you very much for this kind words, Arthur. And again, keep up what you are doing. I'm sure there will be some activities and initiatives where we'll catch up again,
Yeah.
either or maybe we'll then meet physically in one of the events wherever you will be sharing knowledge. I'm always following your activities, and I'm always maybe not FOMO, but a little bit envy whenever you are in Poland somewhere. And then I see, oh, okay, you are in Gdańsk again. I wanted to be at this conference. Maybe Umbraco will give us opportunity again to catch up one
Yeah.
day. So yeah, thank you very much once again. I will do my best to link up to all the materials and all the accounts and all the ideas that you've mentioned here, to make people able to interact and be there if they will be interested in. And yeah, have a lovely rest of your day today, and I'm sure we'll catch up sooner or later somewhere in the internet or
Thank
in the real
you.
world. So thank you
Thank
very much.
you. See you
Thank you. Bye.
soon. Bye.